Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another IT lesson. Today, we're going to start on a new project called Maze. And this is a very big project, so we're just going to do part 1 of it today. Okay? If you still cannot finish part 1 on your own, that's fine. Just save your work. We will continue it in the next IT lesson together. Okay? Now, let's take a look at our schedule for today's IT Okay, so we're going to learn about the Maze project and we're going to look at part 1 first. So I will show you a video of how that works and then we're going to explore the important game features together. Okay, when finished, on your own, I need you to watch the teacher's demonstration video when you can. If you think you have not enough time for that, that's fine, you can skip it. Move on to individual activity. Follow the instructions I've given you to code your Maze part 1 on Scratch. Finish. Go back to eCampus and do your self-checklist. Alright? That will be the end of today's IT Okay? Alright, so let's get started with the learning. Now, our maze project looks something like this. We'll see a maze there definitely. And we're going to have caveman sprites. Now, there are two caveman sprites. One is idle, which means not doing anything. The other one is a running sprite. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. We are going to animate our two sprites using our costumes and using costume change code. And in this game, we're going to switch between sprites. So when we're playing the game, we will see the running sprite. When we are not playing, we will see the idle sprite that's not doing anything. Okay, so that's something special today. Something also pretty special for this project is in a maze game, you are not allowed to walk through the walls. So we're going to learn how to block our sprite movement to prevent our cavemen from walking through the walls of the maze. Alright, so everyone, let's take a closer look at this by watching a video of how it works. Big maze, so you have to be careful. Alright, so that's how it works. So let's take a closer look at it. So in this game, the caveman sprite that you're controlling is in need of water. So your water is your end goal, okay? So in this game, you're going to use your arrow keys to guide the caveman through the maze to find that water. Alright? Now let's look at some special features of this game. So number 1, we're going to have control over our sprite using arrow keys. And number 2, we're going to switch the two sprites. Okay, so when we are playing the game, when we are pressing a key, we will see the running sprite. When we are not playing the game, not pressing anything, we should see the idle sprite that's doing nothing. Alright, so let's learn the coding for this. This is actually very simple. I'm going to go through the running sprite first. So for the running sprite, we're going to use this code. When green flag click, forever, if any key press, show. So that means if I press any key, I should see the running sprite. Else, if I do not press any key, if I let go of my hand, my sprite should hide itself. Okay, so this is for a running sprite. For the idle sprite, it's the opposite. Okay, when green flag click forever, if any key press hide, else if I'm not pressing any key like now, it will show. Okay, so let's look at the animation here. Right now, I'm not pressing a key. My idle sprite is showing. When I move my hand to press the key and play the game, it should start to hide itself. And then it will switch with the running sprite. Okay, so when you combine these two codes together for the two sprites, you have them at the same time, the sprites are going to take turns to appear and hide. Alright, now, just to make sure that the two sprites appear at the same position in our game, we're going to add in this special code. Okay, we're going to fix the position and set it to a variable x and y. Okay, I'm going to start with the caveman running first. So for caveman running, we're going to create an x and y variable for left and right and up and down position. We're going to set its left and right x to its left and right position, and we're going to set the variable y to its Y position, up and down. Okay? And then for the idle sprite, we're going to make sure that this sprite goes to the same position, which is the X and the Y variable that has already been mapped to our running sprite X and Y. Okay, so this would generally mean that the two sprites will appear at the same position. Okay, it's maybe a bit hard to understand, but I think slowly along the way when you keep playing, you will start to realize and understand it better. Alright? Okay, now moving on to exciting game feature. We are going to block the movement of our caveman sprite to prevent it from going through the maze walls. Okay, so how do we do this? Let's take a closer look. Now, if let's say your caveman is going towards a wall, okay, in this case, the caveman is going up. So we are going to have a movement code going up, right? So if key up arrow press, change Y by 4 means going up. Now what happens is we're going to block the caveman from going through the wall that is on top. So for this, I'm going to add a condition. If touching maze, move back. So how do I code this? Inside the movement code, I'm going to add in another condition block. If touching maze, then I'm going to put in a change Y by opposite number. Okay, because we're going to move backwards. So this basically means that if you touch the maze, you move back the same number of steps. Alright, and everyone, this touching maze code has to be put into all your directions. So that means even for down, left, and right arrow, you have to squeeze that code in. Alright, and make sure that inside the touching maze code, the change is the opposite figure from your first change. Alright, so everyone, this is going to be a really long code, so please be extra careful when you do this, okay? Always check your work and do it slowly, step by step. Okay, I believe you can do it. If you find it tricky and you find it too tough, just do your best, come back to class next lesson, and we will solve it together. Okay? Now, for today's project, if you sign into Scratch using our class account, you'll see that Miss Claire has already created a template for you. Okay, you will see your name and the maze project name behind. Okay, so in this template, I will give you a stage backdrop, which is a brown backdrop, and I'm going to give you 5 sprites. The idle caveman, the running caveman, a maze sprite, so this sprite is actually the maze itself, a trap sprite, and a water sprite. Now for today, part 1, we are not going to code the trap sprite. So that is the only sprite we are not going to code. Okay, trap sprite is for part 2. We are going to code the other sprites for trap 1 except the trap. Okay, everyone? So that's the end of this video, but before we get started, let me just quickly go through some expectations for today. Okay, so on your own for activity time, I need you to go to Scratch, follow the instructions to do your maze part 1 project, finish as much as you can. Once you're done, save your work, sign out, go back to eCampus and do your self-checklist. So at least I know whether you can follow the lesson, you have difficulty, or you're okay with it. Alright, so everyone, that's all for group learning, more of individual learning actually. So have fun, enjoy the process. See you next time. Bye!